In the quiet suburbs of Bethesda, Maryland, a dramatic scene unfolded. FBI agents raided the home and office of John Bolton, former National Security Advisor to Donald Trump. This was no routine request. Agents arrived with warrants, seizing boxes from a man once entrusted with the nation's secrets. The timing was explosive, just 7 months into Trump's second term, amid his vow to root out the so-called deep state. Bolton, a lifelong conservative and now a fierce Trump critic, became the target, raising questions about justice versus political revenge. The raid instantly ignited debate. Was this about national security or settling old scores? As the nation watched, the implications for American democracy and the independence of justice hung in the balance. To grasp the impact of the raid, you have to delve into the complex and often contentious relationship between John Bolton and Donald Trump. Bolton's history with Trump is a tale of high-stakes politics, clashing ideologies, and personal vendettas. Bolton, a staunch Republican and foreign policy hawk, joined the Trump administration as National Security Advisor in 2018. This partnership was fraught with tension from the start, marked by clashing egos and divergent worldviews. Their alliance quickly soured over deep disagreements on key issues like Iran, North Korea, and Trump's unpredictable approach to diplomacy. Bolton, known for his hardline stances, found Trump's methods erratic and self-serving. Bolton was appalled by what he perceived as Trump's erratic and self-serving approach to foreign policy. He believed that Trump's actions were not only unpredictable, but also dangerous for the country. Their split became public and bitter, culminating in Bolton's 2020 memoir, The Room Where It Happened. The book painted Trump as dangerously unfit for office, sparking a media frenzy and further deepening the rift between the two. The Trump administration tried to block the book's release, even launching a criminal probe over alleged classified material. This probe was later dropped by Biden's Department of Justice, but the controversy lingered. Instead of fading into the background, Bolton became a relentless conservative critic of Trump. He frequently warned the public about the dangers of a second Trump term, positioning himself as a voice of reason within the Republican Party. Trump, never one to shy away from a fight, responded with personal attacks. He branded Bolton a sleazebag and a traitor, escalating the feud into a public spectacle. This ongoing feud transformed the FBI's search from a mere legal matter into a high-stakes political drama, capturing the nation's attention. The raid is the latest chapter in a saga of personal animosity and political betrayal, a story that continues to unfold with each passing day. Officially, the FBI's search centers on whether Bolton mishandled classified information after leaving the White House. The Trump administration had already probed Bolton over his memoir, alleging he bypassed the pre-publication review for classified content. That case fizzled out under Biden's DOJ, which found no grounds for charges. Now the investigation is revived, raising suspicions of political motives, especially since the facts haven't changed. Supporters claim new evidence may have surfaced, but critics see a pattern of targeting Trump's enemies. The DOJ insists no one is above the law, but the shadow of Bolton's feud with Trump looms large. The challenge convincing the public this is about justice, not retribution. The raid on John Bolton's home can't be separated from the dramatic shift in leadership at the Department of Justice and the FBI. In the wake of Trump's re-election, the very institutions meant to uphold the law have come under the control of his most trusted allies, raising questions about their independence. Trump's second term began with the appointment of loyalists, Pam Bondi as Attorney General and Kash Patel as FBI Director. Both are known for their fierce allegiance to Trump, and their rise to power was seen by many as a signal that the president intended to reshape the justice system in his own image. Bondi's confirmation was deeply controversial. Critics argued that her close ties to Trump would make it impossible for her to act impartially, fearing she'd put the president's interests above the rule of law. Supporters, however, praised her loyalty and promised she would restore order to what they saw as a politicized DOJ. Patel, a vocal Trump defender, had previously labeled Bolton part of a deep state conspiracy. His appointment was met with alarm by those who worried he would use the FBI to pursue Trump's personal vendettas, rather than serve the public interest. Their presence at the top of the DOJ and FBI fuels widespread suspicion that the Bolton raid is less about enforcing the law and more about settling old political scores. The optics of the situation have only deepened the nation's divisions. Patel's social media post, "No one is above the law," as the raid broke, only heightened concerns. For critics, it seemed less a statement of principle and more a warning to Trump's adversaries, fueling fears of a justice system weaponized for political gain. For many Americans, this is not just another investigation, but a crucial test of whether justice can remain independent under such overtly partisan leadership. The stakes feel higher than ever, with the nation's faith in its institutions hanging in the balance. The perception of a revenge tour now colors every DOJ action, leaving the public to wonder if the pursuit of justice has become inseparable from the pursuit of political power. The Bolton raid immediately drew comparisons to the 2022 FBI search of Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate. Both events sent shockwaves through the political landscape, igniting fierce debates and media frenzy. The Bolton raid, much like the Mar-a-Lago search, became a symbol of the deepening divide in American politics. Back then, Trump and his allies decried the search as a political witch hunt. Now, the same tactics are used against one of Trump's fiercest critics. The outcry from Trump's camp was loud and unrelenting, painting the FBI's actions as a blatant overreach of power. Today, the tables have turned, and the same narrative is being spun by those who once cheered the Mar-a-Lago raid. The irony is unmistakable. Both sides have now experienced the power of federal search warrants in the hands of their opponents. This turn of events highlights the cyclical nature of political retribution, where each side uses the same tools to undermine the other. Critics call it hypocrisy and political retribution, while supporters claim it's simply the law at work. The debate rages on, with each side accusing the other of weaponizing the justice system for political gain. The public is left to sift through the noise, trying to discern the truth amidst the clamor. This tit-for-tat escalation threatens the norm of impartial justice, turning law enforcement into a partisan weapon. The integrity of institutions like the FBI and the Department of Justice is called into question, as their actions are scrutinized through a partisan lens. Each side now justifies its actions by pointing to the other's precedent, eroding trust in the rule of law. The cycle of blame and justification continues, deepening the rift between political factions and undermining the foundations of democracy. The political reactions are a mirror image. Outrage and defense have swapped parties. What was once condemned is now defended, and vice versa, creating a landscape where consistency and principle are sacrificed for political expediency. The legitimacy of justice is now judged by political affiliation, not facts. This shift in perception undermines the very concept of an impartial legal system, where justice is supposed to be blind to political influence. The two raids together reveal a nation caught in a cycle of retribution. Each action is met with an equal and opposite reaction, perpetuating a never-ending cycle of political vendettas. The stakes for American democracy have never been clearer. As the cycle of retribution continues, the very principles that underpin the nation are at risk, calling for a return to a more principled and less partisan approach to justice. Critics of the Trump administration saw the Bolton raid as blatant political retaliation. Democrats and anti-Trump conservatives pointed out that Biden's DOJ had already dropped the case, making its revival under Trump's loyalists look deeply suspicious. The message seemed clear: dissent would be punished. Lawmakers like Dan Goldman called it a corrupt use of the justice system to target a political enemy. Even former FBI officials warned that weaponizing law enforcement for politics would damage public trust. The raid, they argued, was less about upholding the law and more about making an example of Bolton. It's a chilling warning to anyone who might challenge the administration. The White House's defense was swift. No one is above the law. Trump publicly distanced himself from the investigation, yet reminded everyone of his authority to intervene. He unleashed personal attacks on Bolton, framing him as a traitor and justifying the probe in the eyes of his supporters. The administration's allies flipped the script, accusing critics of hypocrisy for defending Bolton after demanding accountability for Trump. They insist the raid is based on evidence, not politics, and urge patience until the warrant is unsealed. This strategy turns the debate back on opponents, painting them as selectively outraged. The message the DOJ is simply enforcing the law, regardless of political stature. For Trump's base, it's a long-awaited reckoning for the so-called establishment. Vice President J.D. Vance's post-raid interview sparked fresh controversy. Defending the administration, Vance used "we" to describe the investigation, blurring the line between the White House and DOJ. This broke with decades of tradition meant to protect the Justice Department's independence. Legal experts warned that such language undermines public trust and suggests direct White House involvement. Critics seized on Vance's words as proof of a coordinated political vendetta. The so-called Vance Doctrine signals a new era. The administration is openly comfortable with politicizing law enforcement. The firewall between politics and justice, once a crucial guardrail, appears to be gone. The Bolton raid has plunged the nation into uncharted territory, raising urgent questions about justice and democracy. Is this a legitimate investigation or political revenge? The answer will shape the future of American institutions. The tit-for-tat pattern of raids risks turning law enforcement into a partisan tool, eroding trust in the rule of law. The breakdown of norms separating the White House from the DOJ threatens the stability of the republic. The raid is a stress test for democracy, forcing citizens to reconsider what they expect from government. Can the DOJ be trusted to act impartially under such politicized leadership? The answers will determine whether the principle of government by laws, not men, can survive.